Today, I'm very excited to welcome Linda Goldspink-Lord, who's an award-winning business owner. In 2018, the family-owned business launched Poseidon Equine, who manufactures gut supplements. Their first product has become Australia's fastest-selling gut health supplement for horses, having grown their distribution network to over 350 outlets across Australia, New Zealand, and with plans to export to the USA and UAE. Now, I've known Linda since 1994, a very long time. We still look that young, Linda.
Oh, yes, sure. It's the ring light.
When we first started working together at a local not-for-profit, and our business relationship started in May this year, when Poseidon engaged me as a consultant to assist them with improving their systems, policies and procedures to support their rapid growth and scaling of their business. During the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020, and here we are in 2021 again, in lockdown, they adapted their business model to have more of a focus on digital marketing, resulting in rapid growth in sales and brand awareness. Very recently, the company launched Poseidon Canine, their first gut health supplement for dogs, and they have other exciting business ventures on the horizon.
We do.
Yes, you do. Linda has much to share about what she's learned during the startup phase to growth and is keen to share her insights with you. So now this is going to be fairly casual. Hope you enjoy the questions, and I know that you're going to get some really great responses from Linda. So let's get into it. So Linda, can you tell us about your business journey so far? What inspired you to start Poseidon Equine and Canine?
Look, I think a great question to start with. And I think that for most businesses, there's usually a story behind that. And for us, it was very much based on my own personal journey. I'd suffered from really serious health conditions and was looking for a solution as to why I was still ill so many years later. And so I stumbled across this concept of gut health and the importance of gut bacteria and how they impact on, everything about us, our immune system, our behavior, our concentration, you name it. So I embarked on this gut health journey, improved my health, and thought if it's true of humans, surely it's true of horses. And I had a horse at the time I was having trouble with, and sort of, fast forward, I looked at what was around on the market, and I would contact companies. I just didn't feel I got the customer service I needed. I wasn't confident with the products they had, and they seemed to go against. All of them were sugar-based, and I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. So it was like, well, I'll just make my own. And when I say obviously, I've always been committed to best practice. If you do something, do it well and don't cut corners. So I worked with some amazing consultants, and luckily my husband had a background in manufacturing. So the journey started, and literally it started off as a hobby. And I think, we'll talk later on about some of the success points. And I think when you love something, when you're really passionate about it, it's not work, it's fun, it's enjoyable. So it started there to now 3.5 years later. We employ, quite a lot of people. We have so many, as you mentioned, retailers. We're proudly responsible for people staying employed over COVID. So it's grown and it's grown. And that was our starting point. So I think if you can have a job that it's not just based on money, that actually has a purpose, such a blessing. So that's how we started. And so now we've kind of moved along in that space, and it just keeps growing. And I guess at the age of 50, I worked out that I love having my own business. And I love using all the skills, that we developed over the years and apply them to my own business. It is so exciting. So I'm hoping, I know tonight there may not be as many people joining us, but as we share this video, I'd love to be able to inspire other people out there to just have a go. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and having known you for many, many years, you've always been an inspiring person and taken the risks, but calculated risks to get things happening, get things done, and just the evidence of what you've done with your business is truly amazing.
Thank you.
As a relatively new business, so, you're coming into your 4th year, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you started? That was a tricky question, that one, isn't it?
Well, it's a really good question, though, because I'm really proud to say there's not a lot I would have changed, except a few things. One, I think as a business, really being clear who your customer is, and that not everyone is your ideal customer. It's really difficult. I found it difficult. We're very fortunate beside, and we very rarely get criticism, but when we do, I took it really personally. But then I realized that customer isn't necessarily our ideal customer, and that's okay. Not everyone wants to use your product. Not everyone wants to use your service. So I wish I'd kind of understood that a bit earlier on in the piece. And then really being clear about who is your customer and what their pain points are, so that, and you would know, working with so many customers, everyone has different needs and different priorities. When we first started, I was very focused on the science behind what we did. But in actual fact, people just want to know, will it make my horse happier? Will they eat more? Will they be calmer? All those really simple pain points. And that's what we need to be really clear about, particularly when it comes to marketing. What problem are you solving? And really going back and asking your audience, your clients, what are their needs? So, they're probably two things around the customer. The other one, which I guess leads to you, is when you're starting out, start creating great systems at every level. Filing has never been my strength, as you know.
Really?
I've worked out, I'm the big picture. I've got the ideas and creativity. What I'm not great sometimes at is the fine detail. So having those systems set up right from the word go would have been, better. However, we were so blessed to doing such a great job, and our business was growing so quickly, we just didn't have time. So I was playing to my strength, which was about establishing relationships. My strengths wasn't the filing and the systems, which is why we've reached out to you down the track. And we'll talk about that in a moment.
And I think you bring up a really good point, Linda, that it's really important in any team, and a business is a team, like it was when we used to work for the not-for-profit, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, but having that complementary team is so important. And I know that at Poseidon you have that, because I've been in the depth of that machine, and you have that. So it's really, and then having the passion for the actual animals, the dogs and the horses, adds another layer of success, I think, to your business.
I think having the right team around you is so crucial. And we have some amazing team members. And as a business owner, not everyone will fit. There are times that we've had people that come to work for us and they just didn't fit. And it wasn't for anything they did wrong or we didn't think wrong. It just wasn't the right environment for them. And that's okay as well. So being really clear about what is your company, what does it stand for, what's the energy, what's your intent, all those things are really important. And we've got some amazing people on our team now that I trust with the business, and they've earned that trust. But it's really important to play to your strength. As a new business owner, it's challenging though, because you may not have the resources or the income in the early days to do that. So when we first started, I did everything. It was like a 24/7 position, and that was okay. I knew I had to do that. And I also knew it wasn't forever. So, there's that saying, don't sprint in a marathon. And I told you I'll be sharing some, I kept reminding myself, it's okay, don't sprint in a marathon, but also don't sit back and take too long, because other people will overtake you. But getting the right people around you is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, very much. And building that culture.
Yes, that's the right word.
It's good for now and for the future. It's really important.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm just going to do a little bit of a plug, that you've won a number of business awards, including the New South Wales State finalist in the Telstra Businesswoman Awards. I know, but what has that led to now? Tell us the latest news on that.
Yeah, actually very exciting. I've been asked to be a judge in the Telstra Business Awards. So that's pretty exciting. And it's a
good acknowledgement of you as a businesswoman.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You won the Best New Business Illawarra Women in Business in 2020, and you've been finalist in a number of local and state business awards. So applying for awards are really great for recognition and branding for your business, but I think it's also a great acknowledgement of the great job you're doing and that you're a leader in your community. So what are some 3 things that you think might have contributed to your success so far? Just 3.
No, I could probably almost pin it down to 1, but something I've always been really passionate about is relationships.
Yeah.
And as a business, yes, you need a great product. So whether it's a restaurant and you're serving great food, or it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're a hairdresser and you're great, at hairstyles, but what precedes that is relationships. And for me, that underpins everything. Being connected, doesn't matter who I'm talking to, doesn't matter what their problems are, I'm available, I will listen. I genuinely want to help. And I just feel like that you can't fake that. And, your intent and what you're trying to do kind of infuses everything. So what I'm really proud of, or what just comes naturally, is being available, communicate well, be respectful. Even when people, I say we're lucky, very rarely do we get negativity on social media. But when we do, it's like being really honest and accepting it, but then dealing with it in a really positive way.
Yeah.
I actually don't, when people will say something really critical, now I actually will go back and say, hey, let's talk about that. Let's, why are you feeling like that? Is there a reason for that? And I think social media has got so many benefits, but also other people watch how you respond to criticism and negativity. And I've been amazed, because we do get some interesting customers online and you can't control what they're saying. And I'll get private message people saying, I love the way you dealt with that. So again, it's relationships. So that underpins everything we do. And our strategies, in our, you can ring us, you can message us, you can email us. I've got a great customer service team. For me, that's one of the biggest successes. And the other thing is I've realized that just like life, the journey of a business is not A to B. It's not this linear approach that says I start here and I get there. That would be so boring.
I was going to say, wouldn't that be great?
I'd be bored. It's like, we have the detours and we have the roadblocks. And as time goes on, we understand this is just a detour and I'm going to learn something as I take that detour. And, it's like there's an opportunity to reflect and redirect. Then there might be a roadblock and, do I go over it? Do I go around it? Do I just sit and wait so I know it will pass? So it's learning to cope with the changes. And again, that's something we've done really well. As a new business, we've had to embrace digital marketing, and all that encompasses, around email marketing, email flows, Facebook ads, Google ads, getting on social media, Facebook groups, Instagram, Insta stories, all these things. And you use it to your advantage because people are at home, aren't they? And so you use those challenges to create a new solution and new growth. So they're probably the two biggest things. And we also have amazing products as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, even just the fact that our relationship has sustained all these years, we've not worked together for 10, 15 years maybe, but we've always maintained that friendship and relationship, which then has led to business relationship. And interesting, you're talking about relationships. Relationships, often people just think of face-to-face. And one thing that you've forged ahead on and you've really expressed clearly just now is the importance of online relationships.
So important.
I think people forget that sometimes, and particularly in times like now when we can't get out and do that face-to-face meet, greet, networking, the online presence is so much more important.
It sure is. And whether we like it or not, that is the fact. And so as a new business, we've had no choice but to embrace digital marketing. It's challenging for more traditional businesses who've never had to rely on it. It can be really overwhelming. And, we've learned a lot along the way about what works and what doesn't work. But I'm really, really proud of the team I put together now that all have their strengths. And, we have professional copywriters and graphic designers and someone who does Facebook algorithms, and it goes on and on and on. And this is how we are now connecting, and it can be overwhelming for people, but we have to keep it real. I did a webinar or live last week on Facebook, the first time I'd done a Facebook live. And anyhow, for the first 10 minutes, we got on early and I didn't realize I was already live. And I'm on there talking about, I can't see this and I can't do that. People at home were texting me saying, we can hear you. And I went, well, that's real though. The world kept on spinning. You don't have to be this perfect person. When you get online, be real. And that's what people want. They want connections. They want you to be real. They can't get out and see people anymore. This is their relationship. This is their communication.
Yeah.
So if you wait until it's perfect, it will never happen. So you just get on and you have a go. And it's amazing the way that you can connect with people. And we love it. And it's interesting on our social media posts, we have lots of factual content, but it's the ones like the other day we did a post that said, go on, be honest. Are you still in your pajamas? Yes, no. And we had so much engagement. It's those fun things, what's your favorite movie? What's the best book you've ever written?
And once again, they're the things you'd say if you meet someone at an event, you probably go, oh, how's the weather? How are you finding this? They're the normal parts of conversation we would have in normal daily living. Yeah. And I think, once again, you guys are just so great at doing that. And, I follow your posts, etc. as well. So you can see that.
Thank you for sharing them. And I love that you share them. And I'll say to you, thanks for sharing, Deb. They're the sort of things that make the difference. I guess nothing frustrates me more when people just forget how important it is to communicate. I do a lot of online shopping. I consider it research. But the other day I got this message. It was just an email saying, hey, and I knew it wasn't automated. Hey, Linda, I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you just bought from our company. I take pride in our products, blah, blah, blah. And I just went, that is great. So I wrote back and said, I just can't tell you how much I appreciated you taking time out of your day to email me.
Yeah.
And so they're the little things. It's the little things that make a difference. Or if something's delayed, that you just go out and tell people, you go to a restaurant and the food's delayed, just come out and say, hey, I'm so sorry, we're actually being overwhelmed, but look, here's a glass of wine while you're waiting. Or, so many people in their industry, how many times have you ever had anybody ring you and say, look, I know you come to a restaurant a lot, or you come here a lot, or whatever. I just have some feedback, or thank you for coming along. Next time you come in, here's 10% off your order. It's those little things, those touch points that people feel appreciated with. So it's not hard.
Sometimes it's literally just a phone call and say thank you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people don't have the money, in business to do that, but a phone call saying thanks so much for that, really appreciate it.
Oh, exactly.
Wow, thank you for making the effort, like you said.
Totally agree.
So what advice could you offer a new business about dealing with challenges, and why is that important in the big scheme of things?
Look, it is challenging, and I think financial pressure just changes everything. And yes, there are so many people facing those challenges at the moment. So just put your hand up and say, I need help, find a mentor. I often say to my employees, I had a mentor, I was CEO at 20, 21, 22, I forget now. I look back and think, gosh, and I had a lot to learn. So I found a mentor and I could actually go to them for help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And it's amazing how many ideas there are out there that people are struggling financially. Are there other ways that you can create an income? And so that for me is really important. You don't, and making mistakes is all part of it. Again, if it was A to B, it'd be boring. So do that. And then use this time with COVID to get those systems in place. Yeah. That's something, I'll chat about our connection, that we were growing so quickly that some of the often things that we knew we could do better, we just didn't have time for. So it's like, we don't have time. But if we want to have consistent results, and if we want to scale, we have to have those policies and procedures in place, which is why it was great reaching out to you so that you could come in and dot the I's twice and cross the T's twice and make sure that there are systems for everything. We've spent all this year doing this, and it's been a game changer for our business. So now we're looking at, if we want to get invested, if we want to sell the business down the track, we just want to keep growing, we've got those systems in place. And from a personal point of view, our brains like systems, because when they've got that familiarity and that constantness, they can then, there's room for creativity. And I've noticed probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I just feel like I'm back in the zone again. The systems are in place. Now I can be creative. Now I can start being me again. Like I actually did a video for our Facebook group today. I hadn't done one for ages. So getting those systems in place now, use that opportunity and look at digital marketing as a huge way to do things differently.
Yeah, so true. What are your top 5 tips for making progress towards achieving a goal?
It depends
or achieving your goal.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you would know, in a previous life working with you, I was always very, these are my goals, these are my performance indicators, these are my objectives. And sometimes I think we get too driven by that, we forget to have fun and be creative along the way. So some of the tips are just to enjoy the journey for a start and trust the process. And let it kind of unfold, but always keep that customer service. It's your number one thing. That has to come first. Look after your customers, really, put yourself in their shoes all the time. So I would absolutely say, get that right, get your customer service right, and let the journey unfold, and try not to be too frustrated around when there are roadblocks or problems. I mean, I know I keep mentioning that, but it's, I got told once that when you are frustrated, it actually means there's a breakthrough about to happen. And that is such a powerful thing to remember. When you're feeling overwhelmed, which I'll feel overwhelmed every now and then, I just know my brain's saying, hang on, I need a little bit more time. So, you'll go to bed at night and your head's spinning. And what you don't realize is your brain's doing its own filing that night. I'll keep that, I'll throw that out. You wake up in the morning and bang, you've got a solution. So it's understanding that your brain's a fairly prehistoric organ, just likes to do things slowly. So being really aware of where you're at, that you don't, if you get overwhelmed, go for a walk, have a break.
Take a bit of time out.
Yeah, yep. I'm thinking too, about, again, playing to your strengths, and don't be afraid to embrace them. You mentioned having those awards. What I loved about the awards, and I know we've got our amazing Abby joining us tonight. Abby is a really important part of our team. We nominated her for a position as a personal assistant, and she was the runner-up. And she wasn't overly happy that I nominated her at the beginning, but it's like, own it. Be really proud of what you do. And then you can share that. One of the things that I love about the Illawarra community in particular is that there's a really strong network, and we do help each other out. I do a lot of mentoring for people just because I feel like, well, why wouldn't I want to share this?
Yeah.
So when you do those awards, it's a chance to go, hey, what a great job we've done. And it is good for business. I mean, at the end of the day, we're commercial. We still want to make money and create.
But it's aspirational for others to think if they can do it, they're a local business, they can do it, and I can do it. I think, and by sharing those stories, whether it be at awards or doing things like this or online, I think it gives people hope, it gives people aspirations, and it gives people guidance and support. So, and
you probably don't realise it at the time, but then afterwards it's really, really great. And I remember going asked to do a talk at a local business network, and I answered some questions sort of like this, and I shared a tip that I got told once about the lolly bag effect, and it said, if you go, a child, you go to a birthday party, what's the thing you remember at the end? It's the lolly bag. And so they spoke about how that to make the end part of a relationship a really positive experience. So as they walk out, that's what they remember. And also the benefit of unexpected surprises. So things that I have done in the past was, and I guess I was reminded, we signed up for a company at one stage, and they, in the mail, come a little some chocolate and a little bottle of champagne. It just said, thank you for joining our team. We're doing a contract with them. And I loved it. It was like, it made my day. This little present arrived, and it was so unexpected. Yeah. And, like the present we received the other day from you, this unexpected surprise. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, it can be an unexpected phone call. So I would have clients, I might ring them on a Sunday and say, hey, just check in, see how your horse is going. And they'd be going, oh my goodness, you've taken time out of your day to ring you. Oh yeah, because I really want to know how your horse is going.
Well, it shows you care.
But it's genuine. You can't.
Your business cares, you as individuals within your business care. And I think, I'm sure a lot of business owners do care, but do they show that or express that? Sometimes I don't think they do.
And it shows up in different ways, doesn't it? There's so many different ways that you can show that you care.
Yeah. And it's not all about the money or the gift that you can pay for the gift either. No. Yeah, there's varying levels. Cool. Yeah. Okay, this is a bit of a tricky one, maybe. Okay. How and why do you incorporate optimism into your routines and mindset to help you achieve your goal?
Gosh, we could spend another 2 hours on this one, because this is something I hate the word passionate because everyone uses it, but I am very passionate about it. And for me, the whole gut health thing is also part of this, because, again, that's another topic, but we know now if you have a healthy gut, you make your own natural hormones and you feel better. So for me, I do everything I can to look after my mental health in so many ways. So I make sure I don't, hardly any sugar. I eat whole foods. I look after my gut, so I make my own natural feel-good hormones. I try and get a good night's sleep. I look after all that, that health side of things. But I also try and find gratitude. Doesn't matter what I'm going through, there's gratitude. Even when, something really challenging might happen, I go, well, I'm really grateful I've got a business that's created that stress today. And it doesn't have to be, it's got to be sincere gratitude. We know gratitude lifts your vibrations and it gets you through tough times. I mean, everyone has a story, and some of us have more than others, but you use that, you draw on those strengths. So it's the gratitude, it's being very mindful. And I very much go day to day, so that, which is challenging when you're growing a business sometimes. It's like, what are your plans for the future? Oh, hang on a minute, I'm just trying to get through Wednesday. But I like that. It's, when the world is feeling overwhelmed or there's so much changing, just stay with what's familiar. So that's what I do. And for me, I love what I do. I love coming to work. I have great people around me. Our staff become family members. I get to reconnect with, old friends. And so it's all those things. And also knowing that some days when you're just feeling crap, that's also okay. So, look, I've really summarized that again. That's something I'm really.
So you get back on the horse?
Spend time with my animals. And, in fact, I'm actually hoping to have my book out by the end of the year where I talk about all these things as well. How do you get up and get going every day? And there's so many things to do with that, but it's like looking up that foundation stuff first.
Yeah.
But the more you connect with people, the more joy you get as well. We're not meant to be isolated, and lockdown's making it challenging. So again, as a business, get out there and keep in people's minds so they don't forget about you.
And I think too, the connection and the relationships also provide opportunities, but sometimes you're in the thick of it and you can't see the opportunities because you're too bogged down in your own head.
Yeah.
I think, even part of my philosophy is, even out of something bad, something good can happen, but you've got to be able to see it. So
that's right.
And I know, like, through your life and through my life and many people's lives, that's kind of the attitude that we've carried on. So I think that's really important for resiliency, particularly, in business, but in life in general.
Definitely.
What advice would you give someone who's starting out in business or who is struggling at the moment?
I probably had touched on these. Again, one thing, if you're starting out in business, something that I did is I couldn't stop learning. I got on, I listened to podcasts and I watched webinars and I learned from people, and I experienced my own behavior. That's why the online shopping, I think, is research. Little things like, if you're on a Facebook page and you might have bought a pair of shoes or something like that, and someone writes, "Hey Linda, glad you love the shoes." I'm like, oh God, they mentioned my name this day. and I go, oh wow, that's how important that stuff. So I tap into my own shopping behavior, and I ordered something online, and 6 weeks later it hadn't arrived, and they were just so disrespectful about it. And I thought, oh, okay, so that's what it feels like when your goods don't turn up on time. So we're really extra careful about letting people know, sorry, there's been a delay. So, use your experience as a consumer to work out what is it that people would like, but learn from others. I have learned so much about the way people learn. How does the brain work? How do we communicate? You have 3 seconds to make an impression. And nothing frustrates me more when you go into a shop and they might be serving people, but they could you just look up and go, hey, I've seen you.
They don't acknowledge you.
Yeah, 3 seconds. And sometimes, you might have they might have the best coffee, but they're rude, so you don't go back.
Yeah.
People want the experience.
About their customer journey.
Yeah.
I think you put the nail in the, whatever that saying is.
The nail on the head.
No, that's it. Hit the nail on the head. It is late. That people want to feel valued as a person, first of all, but as a customer. And I think, like you said, if you're putting yourself in your customer's shoes and following what journey you want, that's probably what most of your customers want.
Yeah. And with that, another thing that I think is really good advice is being aware of your ego. That, and it's great because my team are so aware of this now, that if someone, we had someone ring today and she was actually cross because her order wasn't the right order or something, and she just wanted to fire up. And we've got, amazing Michelle in customer service, and she handled it really well. Well, this lady still couldn't let it go. She then wrote a letter, complain about it, but that was her ego. She just couldn't let it go. So if someone's being inflammatory, take a step back, take a breath, go and talk about it, go and think about it before you send the email, before you ring them, because your ego is just there to protect you, but it fires up and attacks. And that has saved so many problems because you kind of go, is it ego jumping in here? Or do I really need to clarify the situation? So again, think about how that person feels on the receiving end. And I just feel like at the moment, they're a bit, I don't know, what's the right word? We're all on the edge. Yeah. So just being...
There's a lot of anxiety and heightened emotions out there.
Heightened emotions, it's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. Which makes it more of a challenge to think rationally in life, let alone in your business.
Yeah. So
you've got your own things in your own life with lockdown, but then you've got your business and maybe your family and other relationships in your life. So
sure. Yeah. Just back to some more of us about a new business. I think embrace it. enjoy it. It's never been, in one way, it's never been easier to have a business, particularly if you're doing it online, because that whole nature of buying behavior is changing. And so you can work from home. We can access so many more people now. I remember in the old days, you used to do, the letterbox drops. Now you just get on, you do, an ebook, or you do a Facebook ad, or you do an Instagram. So it's actually a really fun time to get out there. And maybe for people that they're doing a job they don't really like anymore, maybe this is an opportunity to go, what can I do differently? And then look at the potential of all different ways you can make income from one business. So be creative, but find really good people. That's another thing, really, because people might go, oh, look, it's too expensive, but that's going to save you money in the long run. Like if you're going to do it well, so you can proudly stand up and say, we've done the best we can do. Get good financial advice, legal advice, get your systems in place. Particularly if you're online, the power of the word and graphic design is so important.
Yeah.
So, we have people that just are clever at writing things, get them. So that's for a new business starting. If you're having challenges, again, all the things I've said before, reach out, get involved in business networks, reach out to someone like Deb and get some support. Just do what you can do, financially. Obviously there's those things there, but people are also kind. There's people that will give you free advice and mentoring, and I've got friends I mentor, and it's a good thing to do. So, and remember to breathe.
Remember to breathe. That's a really important one. So just as we finish our interview tonight, would you like to share any particular business goals you have over the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, next week we are launching our new business, Alcoholic Kombucha. That's pretty exciting. My personal goal is, and it was one I set up this year, is I wanted to create these systems so that I could actually have time away. And for me, freedom's about choice and about, do I want to work today or not? Now that's pretty luxurious. But last Friday was the first time in 3.5 years I actually didn't do anything because we had a special family event on, because I knew I had my team all over it. And I was so proud. And I thought my goal is to just keep working on the things that excite me, motivate me, that are challenges. And then, I've got my book that I'll have out by the end of the year. I'd like to do more of that sort of work, mentoring, motivational speaking, those sort of things. It was going to be overseas travel, take
maybe not this year.
Yeah. So no, but that's half the excitement for me. Often, you're supposed to have an exit strategy when you start a business, but we really haven't, because we're just enjoying it too much. And we are so privileged to be in this space. So I feel like we'll just keep growing it and see what happens.
And you're building the structures and the systems to, when you get to the point where you want to step out of the business, you'll have everything there to sell the business. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really strong point.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Linda, for sharing all your knowledge tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to say in your parting words?
Look, I think, thank you for having me. And I just, and not, you haven't asked me to say this, but for anybody who watches this, someone like Debbie is invaluable, because those systems really are your foundation. And another analogy I use is like you have a table with 4 legs. If one of those legs is rocky, you can't put anything on the table. It just doesn't, it's not strong enough. So I think the work that you do gets those foundations really secure, and then you can just build on top of that. So, it might not sound like a very exciting thing to do, but gosh, it's worthwhile. So I would absolutely recommend reaching out to Debbie and doing a business audit, seeing what you need and going from there.
Great, thank you. And I do enjoy working with you and your it's fun, but it's also the kind of things I really love doing, problem solving and helping a business to grow.
Yeah.
But thank you, Linda.